Welcome back to Narrations. Here, you can listen to familiar movies, ensemble stories, and films that capture moments when lives briefly intersect, especially during nights that promise change. Tonight's movie is New Year's Eve, a sprawling holiday ensemble set over the course of one single night in New York City, where strangers, lovers, families, and dreamers all face the same ticking clock. This is a story about endings and beginnings. About resolutions we make and break. And about how sometimes, the people who change us most are the ones we meet when we least expect it. The story begins in New York City, on December 31st. The city is alive with anticipation. Streets pulse with energy. Taxis weave through traffic. Storefronts glow. The famous ball sits high above Times Square, waiting for midnight, waiting to mark the moment when one year ends and another begins. For some, the night promises romance. For others, redemption. For many, just survival. At the center of the city's New Year's celebration stands Claire Morgan, the woman responsible for making sure the Times Square ball drops exactly on time. It is her final year in the role, and everything must be perfect. Claire is efficient, composed, and exhausted. Years ago, she had dreams of her own, plans for a different life. But responsibility pulled her into a role defined by pressure and deadlines. She measures success in seconds and schedules, not in joy. Her night begins with disaster. The ball malfunctions. A technical failure threatens the most visible countdown in the world. Millions will be watching. There is no margin for error. Claire calls in the one person she never wanted to see again. Jensen, a former colleague, brilliant, stubborn, and very much part of her past. Their history is complicated, tangled in unfinished conversations and mutual disappointment. Reluctantly, Jensen agrees to help. As they work side by side to fix the problem, old wounds resurface. Resentment mixes with familiarity. Neither wants to admit how much the other still matters. Across the city, another story unfolds. Kim Doyle, a single mother and nurse, is finishing a long hospital shift. She is practical, worn down, and protective of her teenage daughter Haley. Kim has one rule for the night: Haley is not allowed to go out. Haley, however, feels suffocated. She wants to be with her friends in Times Square. She wants independence. She wants to start the new year feeling grown instead of restricted. The argument escalates quickly, not because either is cruel, but because both are afraid. Kim is afraid of losing control. Haley is afraid of never having it. Elsewhere, in a hospital room overlooking the city, Stan Harris lies dying. Stan is elderly, alone, and stubborn. He has one final wish: to live long enough to see the ball drop one last time. His nurse, Amy, sits beside him, listening patiently as he reflects on his life with a mix of regret, humor, and honesty. Stan talks about mischances, love lost, and the things he never said out loud. He doesn't ask for miracles, only time. In another part of the city, Ingrid, a quiet and lonely woman, writes a list of New Year's resolutions, things she's always wanted to do but never had the courage to try. She meets Paul, a small-time musician struggling to make ends meet. Through chance, Paul becomes her companion for the night, agreeing to help her complete her list before midnight. Their connection is tentative, awkward, and sincere, built not on romance, but understanding. Meanwhile, Tess and Griffin, two strangers, find themselves stuck in an elevator together. Tess is confident, ambitious, and cynical about holidays. Griffin is shy, idealistic, and eager to see meaning in the night. As they wait to be rescued, they talk about love, disappointment, and what they secretly hope the next year might bring. Their conversation stretches longer than expected, forcing honesty in either plan to share. Elsewhere, a young man named Randy makes a bold bet that he can kiss a stranger before midnight. His bravado masks vulnerability, and the night will test whether confidence can survive without connection. And woven through it all is the city itself, strangers crossing paths, moments brushing against one another, lives intersecting without knowing it. As the hours slip by, each character faces a quiet truth. Resolutions don't begin at midnight. They begin the moment we choose differently. Claire struggles to admit that her life has become all responsibility and no joy. Kim confronts the realization that protecting her daughter might also mean letting her go. Ingrid faces the fear that her life has been defined more by avoidance than failure. And the city keeps counting down. The ball still hasn't dropped. The clock keeps moving. And time waits for no one. As New Year's Eve edges closer to midnight, every story presses toward its turning point. Because when the year ends, excuses do too. And what comes next depends not on promises made loudly, but on choices made quietly. As the final hours of the year slip away, New York City seems to breathe faster. Streets tighten with anticipation. Conversations grow more honest. The pressure of midnight hangs over everyone, not as celebration alone, but as a deadline for truths long avoided. At Times Square, Claire and Jensen work feverishly to repair the malfunctioning ball. Tension fills the control room, not just because of the technical failure, but because years of unresolved emotion linger between them. Their arguments resurface, old disagreements about ambition, sacrifice, and the choices that pulled them apart. Jensen accuses Claire of choosing control over connection. Claire fires back that responsibility doesn't disappear just because life becomes difficult. But beneath the frustration lies something else: recognition. They see, perhaps for the first time, that they both became hardened versions of themselves trying to survive disappointment. As the system begins to stabilize, silence settles between them. It's not uncomfortable. It's honest. Across the city, Kim finally relents and allows Haley to go out, reluctantly, fearfully, realizing that holding too tightly may push her daughter further away. Kim follows Haley into the city, not to control her, but to understand her. What begins as an argument becomes a shared experience. Mother and daughter navigate crowds together, laughing awkwardly, rediscovering one another not as roles, parent and child, but as people learning how to coexist as time moves forward. At the hospital, Stan weakens. The ball drop draws closer, but his strength fades faster than the clock. Amy stays by his side, holding his hand as he talks about the life he lived, the mistakes he made, the love he missed, and the strange comfort of knowing the end is near. As midnight approaches, Stan watches the countdown on television. He smiles, not with sadness, but with peace. When the ball finally drops, Stan slips away quietly, his last moment aligned with the world's celebration. Amy sits with him in silence, understanding that sometimes, the greatest gift is being present when someone leaves. Elsewhere, Ingrid and Paul continue crossing items off her resolution list. They dance. They laugh. They step outside comfort zones either expected to face that night. Ingrid realizes that her list was never about doing extraordinary things. It was about proving to herself that she could say yes. Paul, struggling with his own stalled dreams, sees in Ingrid a reminder that small steps still count. Their connection doesn't promise romance, but it offers something just as rare: encouragement without expectation. In an elevator finally freed from stillness, Tess and Griffin step back into the world together. What began as an inconvenience has become a moment of genuine connection. They exchange smiles that carry possibility, not certainty, but hope. As midnight nears, the city converges. Crowds flood Times Square. Music pulses. Voices chant the final seconds together, strangers united by the same anticipation. Claire and Jensen finish the repair just in time. The ball rises. The countdown begins. 10, 9, 8. Around the city, everyone holds their breath. 7, 6, 5. Kim and Haley stand shoulder to shoulder. Ingrid smiles through tears. Paul watches the sky. Tess and Griffin lean closer. 4, 3, 2. At the hospital, the screen flickers softly in an empty room. 1. Midnight. The ball drops. Cheers erupt. Fireworks bloom across the sky. The city explodes into celebration. But the real moments happen quietly. Claire and Jensen share a look, an understanding that not everything needs fixing immediately, but some things deserve another chance. They don't rush. They simply acknowledge what still exists. Kim hugs Haley, not as a guard, but as a mother learning how to let go with love. Ingrid steps into the new year lighter, braver, no longer waiting for permission to live differently. Paul walks forward with renewed belief that progress doesn't require perfection. Across the city, couples kiss, strangers laugh, and promises are made, some sincere, some hopeful, some fleeting. As the celebrations fade and the city exhales, the message becomes clear. New Year's Eve isn't about changing everything overnight. It's about choosing one honest step forward. New Year's Eve is a story about imperfect people standing at the edge of possibility, realizing that beginnings don't arrive fully formed, and resolutions don't matter unless they're lived. The year changes in a moment. Life changes more slowly. But every beginning starts the same way. With a choice. If you enjoy listening to ensemble films, holiday stories about endings and beginnings, and movies that reflect the quiet emotional shifts behind big celebrations, you'll find many more stories like this here. Like the video if you enjoyed this narration, share it with someone who loves holiday films set around New Year's, and subscribe for more movie narrations throughout the season. Thanks for listening, and here's to new beginnings.